I work for a police department on a small island. Weird things happen here. I live on an island. Said island is located off the northeast coast of the United States and is relatively unknown to most, other than those who have seen that one movie that was filmed here. Sure, in the summer when it's warm, we get the rapid, surfluous influx of foreign tourists who are excited to see a real beach and experience the quaint small town American lifestyle. But for the most part, on this tiny little island, there's maybe 1,000 folks who live here year round. At least, that's how many people you will see actively moving about. There's probably more than that, but the rest are reserved, red-necked hermits who spend a grand total of 15 minutes a year in direct sunlight. You may have heard of this island. Hell, if you vacationed anywhere in the Northeast, there is a good chance you know exactly which island I'm talking about. Please, for the sake of the sanity of all readers, and for myself, as the writer, keep it to yourself. If you don't know which island I'm talking about, perfect! Stay the fuck away. There are many reasons I say that, but the top 3 would be 1. This place is boring. After the summer crowds leave, all we have here is the one movie theater, the bowling alley people like to get high inside of, and a few pizza joints of varying quality. 2. You will almost certainly get sick on the ferry ride to my island. For the most part, the employees of the ferry company are grumpy folks who have little to no interest in your comfort and live by the unofficial slogan of, "We're not happy till you're not happy." And 3. If you are not a seasoned islander, or exceptionally well-trained, armed, and smart, there's a pretty good chance you will last about 3 days here before you disappear. I have been working as a police officer here for a few years now. I am by no means an expert, nor am I that old, but I do like to think I know my way around the job, and I cannot begin to count all the missing persons reports we get here. It's astounding, really. I don't mean we have a few more here and there than the national average. I mean 3 or 4 people a week disappear right out from under people's noses, with zero warning. In a town the size of ours, that's a pretty significant number. At this point, investigating them is an exercise in futility. Last year, we lost something like 200 people in total. Want to know how many we found? 3. 3 people. These 3 people were for the most part unscathed as well. They reassimilated with society fairly easily. The only real problem with them was the fact that not one of them had any fingers. It was really quite interesting to see. I don't mean like they were cut off or anything. I mean, they look like these people were born with no fingers. I knew one of them. He used to have fingers. He still denies that, and I've stopped trying to convince him. That's just one of the many strange things that happened here, honestly. Working as a cop isn't exactly easy when in half of all breaking and entering cases, the victim claims the burglar is a lizard/dog hybrid person. I don't know exactly what they mean by that, but the number of cases with that commonality is too high not to take it seriously. Makes writing reports fun at least. My partner and I have seen some pretty crazy things. So, weird animal people don't sound quite as far outside the realm of possibility to us as they might to others. Anyway, I wanted to start documenting some of the things that go on here. I was told last week by one of my usual suspects, Jonathan, that people who aren't from around here may get a kick out of the things we do on a daily basis. I figured here was the best place for this. I have seen how open-minded most of you are, but whether you believe any of this or not doesn't really matter too much. Hopefully, you can enjoy either way. I'm not entirely sure where to start with a story. I could tell you about the time we got a call to one of our local cemeteries. Every single grave had been unearthed and all 432 bodies were mysteriously missing. We found them all a little later, inside the grocery store, when the manager came in to open it for business. They appeared as if they had been staged to look like they were shopping. This all happened between 7 and 7:30 a.m., when the on-site caretaker was taking his daughter to school, which seemed a bit uncharacteristically fast for most teenage pranksters. I could talk about the time when every single spoon on the island vanished, including my own set. Those, unlike the 432 corpses, were never recovered, and that case is technically still open. Honestly, however, these are just everyday occurrences for us. Normal is a relative term here. One of the stranger events, however, happened on my last night shift. Me and my partner Colin are on from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. most shifts, so we're usually around when things go bump in the night. We got a call for just such a bump a few days back, at 3:33 a.m. We heard 700 to Delta Unit. Delta 27, I responded back through my cruiser mic. We have a report of an intruder. I removed the address so as not to disrespect the owner's privacy. The RP states they heard several inexplicable noises in their basement. I sighed and looked at Colin before answering. Received 700, myself and Delta 28 are en route. Flipping on our lights and sirens, I slowly pulled our cruiser out from where we had been parked on the side of the road and made my way towards the downtown residence. We arrived not 10 minutes later and exited our vehicle. "You want to take this?" asked Colin. He looked like shit. I suspected he had yet to sleep since the night before, so I said, "Sure, buddy," and knocked. I had barely grazed the door with my knuckles when it flew open, and I nearly put my fist into the young woman's nose. "Thank goodness you're here!" she exclaimed. I had never seen her before, which was strange to me, because I've seen most people on this rock on at least one occasion. She was short and plump, with darker brown hair, and introduced herself as Kathy, with 2 Ks. She was wearing Star Wars pajamas and looked like she was a little older than me. After introductions, she invited Colin and I into her house. "I heard someone moving around in my basement. I'm the only one home. My wife is at a conference off on the mainland," Kathy explained. "At first I thought it was a small animal, but then I heard a voice. I've been too scared to go down there, so I called you." I nodded. "We'll check it out for you, ma'am. Don't worry. Why don't you wait outside, all right?" "Is there an exit in the basement?" I asked, trying not to sound as excited as I felt. I mean, maybe I'd finally get to see the lizard dog man thing. Who wouldn't be excited? She shook her head and nervously fiddled with her shirt. "Just don't open the basement closet, please." I looked at Colin. "Why?" he asked her slowly and deliberately. She continued to fidget and looked at her shoes. "That's just where... I have a lot of things piled up in there, and well, they're fragile, and..." She trailed off. "Well, ma'am, we may have to. Now, please go wait outside, or in the living room. Away from the basement," I instructed her. Of course, we had to look in the closet now. We drew our weapons and hit the basement light switch. "Police department!" I called down the steps. No response. We carefully made our way down the steps into the basement. Basement was, however, a strong word. This place was solid concrete. Basically just the foundation. And it was littered with unlabeled cardboard boxes. I mean, stacked so high we couldn't see the whole room at any point in time. Lots of blind spots. Fuck. There was a path, sort of, leading to around the basement. Following it, we found a medium-sized wooden door at the very back wall. "Well then," stated Colin, "must be the closet." "Yep," I answered shortly. We waited. "So, do you want to open it?" I asked. "No. Do you?" he responded. "Nope," I said, reaching for the handle. I made eye contact with my partner, then yanked it open quickly, both of us pointing our Glocks and mounted flashlights inside, where we saw several thousand glass eyes looking directly at us. "Whoa!" yelled Colin, jumping back. I'll admit it was not what I expected to see. Maybe some bongs or meth lab even would have been less surprising, but that wasn't what was there. It was eyes. "Huh," I muttered, more to myself. We kept our lights pointed at the oversized room, looking at the many, many shelving units the eyes were placed on. "This must be cut out further into the ground," Colin thought out loud. I nodded, bringing my light slowly downwards towards the floor. Just at the bottom of the back wall, it landed on a small hole. I stopped. "Dude," I said, looking at Colin. "Looks like something crawled in here." he stated. The hole was definitely too small for a human, but bigger than a mouse or rat hole would be. Maybe it's... he started, when suddenly a small black and white creature raced past us on all fours. "Oh, fuck!" I yelled, turning around just in time to see a puffy black and white tail disappear up the stairs. "Was that a skunk?" asked Colin. My shoulders drooped. "Yeah," I said, holstering my pistol. "I think it was." We heard a shrill scream from upstairs and looked at each other. "Kathy!" we both yelled, sprinting upstairs. We found her cowering outside the living room. It went in here!" she stammered. She looked pale. "It's okay, Kathy. It's just a skunk," I told her. "Move away from the door and we can try and get him out without stinking up your whole house." She nodded, swallowed, and slowly moved away from the entrance. This is really gonna suck if we get sprayed, I thought to myself. The sight of my partner's face confirmed that I wasn't the only one with this thought. Slowly, Colin opened the door. I opened the last one. So by the rules of the law enforcement bro code, his turn was up. Peeking into the dark room, we could faintly make out a couch, a recliner, a fireplace, and a few more shelves. These ones had books on them, however, which was a pleasant change. What we didn't see, however, was a skunk. "What do you want to do?" Colin whispered. I shrugged. "I say we loop around and try and force him out into the main hall," I suggested. "Fuck it," was Colin's only reply. Fuck it worked for me, and we creeped into the room, moving clockwise behind the couch to the fireplace and around the recliner, right back to where we started. No skunk. "Here, skunky, skunky, skunky," Colin whispered. "Well, that's fucking rude," said a male voice with a heavy Boston accent. We both froze. "Who said that?" I called out to the small room after a few seconds. "I did, asshole. What are you, fucking deaf?" came the voice again. I drew my weapon and switched on the light. Colin did the same. "Where are you? What are you doing in here?" I said to the disembodied voice. "I'm right here, ya dickhead." Our weapons turned to the floor between the chair and the couch, where the skunk was seated looking up at us. "There's no way that... Did it?" Colin whispered to me. "I can hear ya, you know," said the skunk. "Yes, it did," I answered Colin's question in disbelief. "I ain't an it, douchebag. I'm a he," yelled the skunk. "What the fuck? How can you talk?" I asked the rodent. "How can you talk? Fuck, I thought you cops were supposed to be smart," he answered, annoyed. "Don't ask dumb questions." I didn't appreciate this skunk's sass. "Well, what are you doing in the lady's house? Why aren't you huddled up in a ground hole or something?" I asked, equally annoyed. "That's fucking racist, pig. Fuck you." "What, just 'cause I'm a skunk I gotta live in a hole? Believe it or not, skunks also appreciate finer household living, you know. It's fucking cold outside," the skunk shot back. Like it should have been obvious. "Can you, watch your mouth? There's no need to be rude," Colin spoke up. "You fucking call me like a pet? I ain't a pet, asshole. I have 3 fucking kids." The skunk was raising his tail in addition to his voice. "Okay!" I yelled. "How about this? I'll make a deal with you," I said, looking at the skunk. He paused. "What kind of deal?" he asked after a few seconds. "I can't let you stay in this lady's house, okay? But what I can do, if you promise you won't stink up the car, is take you back to the station. We can get you some food, and you can spend tonight there, and we'll find you somewhere nicer tomorrow," I said, hesitating on the last bit. I was going to help a skunk go house shopping tomorrow, on my day off. The skunk thought about this for a moment. "And I ain't getting arrested or nothing?" he asked slowly. "Nope," I responded. He waited for a few more moments, then said, "Fine, but I get to ride shotgun." "Deal." "Hey, wait." Colin started to speak up, but I gave him a look that said, "Please, don't anger the talking, walking stink bomb of doom." And he shut up. The 3 of us walked out of the living room, and Kathy made a little squeal when she saw the skunk. "Get it out of here! Get it out!" she cried. "Fuck, lady. I know I didn't ask permission or nothing, but I have a name, you know." the skunk said. Kathy went pale. Did he just talk? She asked, her voice barely audible. Yes, he did, I answered with a smile. Oh, she muttered, just before fainting right there on the floor. I considered calling an ambulance, but decided against it. She would wake up soon enough to a skunk-free house. I just wished I had the chance to ask her about all the glass eyes in the basement.
What is your name, by the way?
Asked Colin.
For the report, I mean.
The skunk looked at him.
My name, since you are polite enough to ask, is Daniel Sharps III, he responded, carrying his head a little bit higher. And you two might be? I'm Officer Colin Schaffner, and this is my partner, Officer Holliday,
Colin said to Daniel, gesturing to me. Daniel, the skunk, looked at us both, then said,
Well then, pleased to meet you both.